The Super Mario Bros. Movie is Hollywood's second attempt at bringing our favorite Italian plumber to the big screen. This time around, we find our hero, along with his brother Luigi, as two down and out plumbers in Brooklyn. Voiced by Chris Pratt and Charlie Day, these two siblings accidentally stumble down a mysterious pipe which leads them to the wondrous world of the Mushroom Kingdom. But Luigi is soon captured by the villainous Bowser, played by Jack Black, and now Mario must go on a journey across the colorful world to save him. Now, in general, I'd say my connection to the Mario game series is pretty casual. When I was 8, I was given the Nintendo GameCube for Christmas, the best game system ever, by the way, and Mario Kart Double Dash was the game included in the box. I ended up enjoying it so much that I later got Super Smash Bros. Brawl and even bought a DS just to play the new Super Mario Bros. Game. But in time, I kinda grew out of video games, and now my only experience with the Mushroom Kingdom gang involves spontaneous 2 a.m. sessions of Super Smash Bros. Ultimate that break out at a party when things start to die down. Isabelle is an absolute tank, by the way. And when I first saw the trailers for this movie, I was impressed with the animation. The attention to detail was magnificent, and it managed to look colorful without looking like visual throw-up. I was also a tad curious about the chosen voice cast. Most of the actors seem to match their respective characters, with the exception of Chris Pratt as Mario. Now, I have nothing against Pratt, he's actually my second favorite Chris. I just couldn't see how Chris Pratt could fit into the role of this well-known video game icon without coming off as a caricature, but I was willing to give him the benefit of the doubt anyway. The biggest concern I had for the movie was the studio behind it, Illumination. While Disney, Pixar, and DreamWorks have excelled at crafting well-made stories for the whole family, Illumination seemed to find its niche in catering to just kids alone. Most of their movies appeal to the lowest common denominator, filling the screen with loud noises, juvenile humor, and out-of-place licensed music. I don't mean to get too negative, but I'm pretty sure the Minions movie lowered the world's collective IQ by 2 points. And for this film, they chose to lift the review embargo a mere 24 hours before audiences could see it. Never a good sign. The reviews themselves range from satisfied amusement to angered frustration. Me, I just went in to have a good time. And to be blunt, this whole thing overall is a mixed bag. There are definitely a few highlights along the way, which I was delighted to see, but as a whole it seemed to play it too safe. I will say it's Illumination's best movie by far, for whatever that's worth, but while the Super Mario Bros. Is better than the others, it still suffers from their similar downfalls. Let's begin by talking about the script. It's not very good. Hardly any of the characters were fleshed out, and their arcs, if you could call them that, were half-hearted at best. It probably has to do with the runtime. I know I'm usually the guy who complains that blockbusters today are always too long, but I think this actually would have benefited from an extra 10 to 15 minutes. It would have gone a long way to help strengthen the pace of the storyline and make it breathe a little bit. And then there's the humor. And to be quite honest, this movie isn't very funny. Or at least, it's funny when it isn't trying so hard to be. There are a few visual gags which actually had me laughing, but for the most part, my packed theater, which was full of both kids and adults, were stone silent. Most of the dialogue and jokes are harmless at best and downright cringe at worst. The voice acting was decent for the most part. I can say that my number one concern, Chris Pratt, did a fine job as the character. I was distracted by the way he sounded for the first 10 seconds, but then I immediately forgot about it. I'm officially sold on Pratt being the studio's go-to voice actor. Bring on Garfield! Okay, so I was exaggerating a bit, but I still liked him in the role. Charlie Day was a perfect choice for Luigi, and his manic energy fit the role well. I just wish he didn't get sidelined the way he did. His chemistry with Mario is one of the film's strongest aspects, but they're immediately separated when the adventure begins. It's a shame because their dynamic was certainly more fleshed out than the relationship Mario had with Toad and Peach, played by Keegan-Michael Key and Anya Taylor-Joy respectively. Toad kinda inserts himself into the plot with no motivation, and Joy has little to say as Peach besides a few "let's save the day" lines. I did like the more capable version of the princess though, and hopefully they do more with her in the future. But Jack Black is absolutely the actor who is having the most fun with his role. He plays it off pretty fierce, and even gets a chance to bring his musical talent. I saw some critics who were perplexed by his motivation regarding Peach, but I actually thought it fit right at home with the version of the character we see from the games. The voice actor who didn't fit his role at all was Seth Rogen as Donkey Kong. With each of these actors, I can see an aspect of themselves being put into the role, but with this one, I just heard Rogen's voice coming out of a gorilla. But as I said before, the thing I was most looking forward to was the animation, and that aspect certainly did not disappoint. This movie looks freaking gorgeous, and I hope that other animated movies follow this film's lead in that regard. I often found myself quickly scanning each frame just to admire the acute attention to detail given by the creative team. And when they put those animation skills to use when recreating sequences from the game series, that's when this movie really finds its stride. The standout, of course, being the Mario Kart chase at the end. There are also several moments where we switch perspectives to see the platform layout of the game that we see Mario going through as he has to sort of overcome different challenges throughout the storyline. And that stuff is super neat. Super Mario Bros. Is at its absolute height when it embraces the iconography of the games. It makes sense why they released this thing on Easter weekend because this thing is stuffed with Easter eggs. In the first 15 minutes, I lost count after about 20. These range from characters, background pictures, or even small musical cues. I've seen some critics treating this as a negative, but I actually found this to be some of the most enjoyable stuff in the movie. The moments when it strays from the source material and defaults to just being another Illumination film is when I started to tune out. And just like every other Illumination film, there is a classic 80s song played about every 10 minutes or so. These tracks hold no real relevance to the world of Mario, and I'm sure their real purpose is to wake up the half-asleep parents who have been dragged to this theater by their kids. So yeah, there's a lot of problems here, and I know that some people in the comments will say, oh, it's a kid's movie, you don't have to be so nitpicky, but the thing is, I've seen animated movies that were way better made, and I wish that the writing team gave this film just as much care as the animation team did. But the thing is, I acknowledge that I am not the intended demographic for this. Because prior to my screening, I saw a bunch of kids running out of the theater with Mario hats and little stuffed Koopas. This thing is going to be absolutely beloved by both children and lifelong fans of the series. Do I wish this was as clever as the Lego Movie or Into the Spider-Verse? Of course, but this is the direction the studio chose to go with. There are family movies and there are kids movies. Super Mario Bros. Is certainly a kids movie. What I'm excited for are the sheer number of opportunities that are possible with the Nintendo universe going cinematic. Mario Galaxy, Zelda, whatever weird game Ness is from. And of course, we are now one step closer to seeing an actual Metroid movie. I am absolutely begging to see a Metroid movie. Come on, guys, do it. I'd absolutely kill to see that character on screen. Or actually not kill. YouTube, please don't take my channel down. As you can tell, I wasn't personally impressed with the Super Mario Bros. Movie. I think the story is rushed, the jokes are unfunny, and there are a few too many Illumination isms that pop up along the way. But I also loved the visuals and thought that the movie found its footing when it leaned into what made the games fun. What can I say? Some of the callbacks were genuinely charming. So even though I didn't think it was great, I know that others are going to enjoy the absolute heck out of it. And this is the part of film criticism that I dislike, assigning a grade. The thought process I use when giving a movie I'm reviewing a letter score is determining how well the filmmakers were at fulfilling their intended purpose. Because while the film didn't work particularly well for me, I know it'll do wonders for Nintendo fans of every age, and I'm pretty confident that was the goal. So, for what it was trying to accomplish, I'm going to give Super Mario Bros. A C. If you have a kid or a younger relative, odds are they're probably going to love it.